I believe charge our batteries, right? So
Yes, sir.
relaxation like this and spending time with family and friends, with the kind of excitement that the new year brings is great.
Yeah, yeah. That's fine, Ravi.
Awesome. Uh, so I have an update. We are just two small points away from signing the agreement. We had a meeting today with our, buyer who will represent us from France. And this complication is only because the vendor is in Germany and wanted the payment in euros. And we are a American company, so we make the payment in dollars. So for that reason, we asked our head office to participate. And obviously, when these purchases are being made, they want to go over certain points to try and make sure that from legal perspective, we are protected. So we have just sent two minor questions, and I think it's a green light at this point. So will happen soon. But of course, I thought it would happen much sooner. Uh, it got stretched. Now you guys are coming from a vacation, so I'm kind of thinking, there is not going to be much difference in what your status is. Uh, so right now, perhaps you can take a look at what Pramoda has checked in and think about the design. In fact, I must say that Pramoda was actually very happy with the way you were proceeding. So it's a good way to put that the work that you guys did was also in line with what Pramoda is trying to do. So my guidance going forward will be that if you think there is a independent task which you do not need the Profinet stack for, I mean, like you did the work for creating the GSDL file. If there's anything like that, you can look. Otherwise, it's more about reading as to how Profinet components are going to be connected and looking at, our architecture and, the software that we are going to put together for communicating with Profinet. Anything that you can identify that you will need specific information from a subsystem, please bring it out. Because the way I see it, we will get the Profinet software, and the Profinet software will ask us to provide certain pieces of information for which the query has to be made to the AOS subsystem. I mean, I would have said we'll do web query, but really, those things take longer. So I want to continue to think as to how, what is the fastest means to get you the information you need. So that's what I want to continue and look at it. So identify the information you need, and then we'll try to figure out how this information can come to you fastest.
Yes, Ravi. Yeah. So before the holiday, we are trying to look at the uh, MLDB implementation from the Swift and some aspect of it, like the MIP file. Due to we think that the MLDB from the stack, we may need to use it. However, on the current implementation on Swift, and also the MLDB module, so that we need to like discover like on aspect of it. so that when the stock arrive, we can decide on what to do with the MLTB module. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that will continue to be our work now. My hope is that I'm going to say by the end of this month we should get access. Maybe next week, but I mean, because what the vendor would want is all the document gets signed from both sides, and then say, okay, here is the access while you can pay in the payment can come. So normally that's how they work.
Yeah, 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 yes, Ravi. Yeah.
Uh,
Other than that, Vido still working on the prototype uh, with some suggestion from the Ramoda last meeting. Yeah.
Okay, so what I understood is Vido is looking at the architecture and the code that Pramoda shared last week.
Yes, that's right, Ravi.
Yes,
And uh, yeah, and actually, with head Hadang will help us to like uh, to look for other perspective of the implementation. He will not like directly go with the code. So Vido and I will in charge of the coding side, Ravi.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, you're saying that the Huadong will not be going into the code. The two of you
Yeah,
will
yeah,
be doing that. Yeah, I understood that. I mean, Huadong has been kind of a team lead, so he looks
yeah, yeah,
at a higher level, and
yeah, yeah.
I think that's okay. Uh, um,
Hi, Ravi.
yes, Rupa.
Hi, yes, Ravi. Actually, you had shared some documents related to Profinet, right, Ravi? In that,
Mhm.
Profinet IO Stack user reference guide, in the section 7, that is SNMP and MIPS. I'm going through it, Ravi, and also I'm comparing with LLDP MIP on the current system, Ravi.
Okay. Uh,
Uh,
and you know what? It is possible that some SNMP queries will come to Profinet stack from the
yeah,
controller.
okay.
And what we can do is we can just, duplicate information, or we can create a mechanism to, query the info. So, I mean, like pass through that request to AOS and get the information.
Okay,
Now,
Ravi.
LLDP MIB, Len, Vido, if you have any question about a MIB, number one, I can try helping. If you have any question related to implementation, again, I can try helping, but we also have Dan Huang, who is from TMA and is actually managing our AOS 8 and 10 SNMP interface. So we can do that.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yes, Ravi. Yeah, yeah. I know him. Yeah,
no, that's great. So, and Rupa, identify the MIB interfaces that we need to provide. Of course, I know that, okay, they can come and say, okay, change the system name to this. They can say, hey, use this IP address. And we need to, provide for all of that information.
Okay, Ravi.
Uh, we are also working on another function of Profinet whereby the AOS can be reset. So Profinet actually says, hey, I'm going to reset you, and I'm going to. So we need to be ready for any of those kind of events, uh, because that's how Profinet works.
Okay.
So we have a PER for AOS, and AOS team will handle that. But the function will be available to us as a SNMP interface or a CLI interface, which will be, hey, reset the switch all the way, or reset it to factory default. Reset to factory default is, we go through and configure a switch, but at some point it turns out and say, no, just reset it down to the bare bones, and then we'll take care of the rest. So we need to provide that functionality, uh, and it's happening in H1R2.
Okay.
Now, team, as far as our planning is concerned, earlier they had asked us in December, and we said, sure, we could give you something by April as a, you know, POC. Now we are already in February, and I know that we cannot do anything in April. So now I have put June as the time that we will do that. But even June, I'm saying, look, my bus is already leaving for June, and I might be changing it again. So my estimate to the team is it will take us 12 man months of effort for development, and then testing, bug fixing will be additional. We are going to try and plan something to deliver in June or July. Uh, Rupa, I also need, and Lynn, Widow, I also need us to start reading about testing environment. I am looking for a recommendation from the team to say what specific testing equipment I can go and purchase. So normally in a Profinet environment, what we have is a Profinet controller that can be running on your Windows server also. There are boards that are available in which the controller can be running on one of the BlackBerry or some device like that. It doesn't have to be like for the basic testing. It doesn't have to be the most sturdy and expensive device. And then by interfacing with that, one can get the information in one of the software that they have. The Profinet guys will provide, and then the test cycle start. They actually have automation suites that can be started on that board, where our switch will also connect as one of the. There's a lot of feedback from you, so I'm gonna mute you for a minute. Yeah, okay, that is better. So I need the work done in that research also. So next week, I would like to hear if you are able to isolate and make a recommendation. I'm kind of thinking the board should cost us something like 1,500 to two and a half or 3,000 at most. Uh, in USA, from time to time, the Profinet guys are doing some classes where some vendors come and all that. And I am hoping that I also make a trip down to some other place and take a look. In fact, today was one of the conferences in San Jose. I didn't go there, but I will be looking out for something like that. And if it comes closer, that's better. But otherwise, I'll go. And my target is I want to identify a test board, because as we start doing development and we get further, at that time we will need our own testing environment for Profinet. Plus, I will need automation suite, which I believe that the PI North America will provide us. And if we succeed from that suite, then we can reach out to a certification lab for our Profinet solution. And team, we need to start looking at, as we do the development, we need to start looking at how much memory we are taking, and how much CPU.
Okay, yeah.
In addition, and this is very critical, the timing. So it will be best the software that we create should already have ability to indicate some of these things. Because what happens is, when Profinet has extreme, constraints on the kind of timing that we need to show we are going to, handle. And if we are not able to, then we need to know it upfront so that we start making other changes and try to look for what we can do. Okay. So, no need to worry about it because, I believe that we already have ways. Oh, no, actually, Lynn, you know how to look at the CPU and the uh, memory usage for the process, right?
Yes, Ravi. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Lynn, did you work on that OmniVista agent?
Yes, Ravi. Yeah.
So my memory served me right. As part of the OmniVista agent, we had to try and overload the switch and say, hey, what about 80% CPU? And then can we deal with these requests? So, okay.
Yes, Ravi. We yeah. Um, we can perform some simulation on the script, or maybe to test the load of the application after. Yeah.
Well, in Windows, like in OmniVista, we had added something to monitor what is the CPU, what is the timing, and all that. I'm sure that
Yeah.
it can be done in Linux also very easily. If needed, I can, get you the information. But I'm saying that our software will have to have, from the beginning, some of these things so that we are able to monitor that as we add things, how the timings are changing. And the main thing is that we can never go. See, in Profinet, we are going to probably say that we can do everything in 110 milliseconds. Okay, guaranteed. We need to, after that, make sure that nothing can, happen that will take longer than that. Of course, if the switch is down, that's a different thing.
Yeah. Okay, Ravi. Yeah.
And, in our component being a very critical one, timing based, uh, we also will have to make sure that we do not have any memory faults and we do not go down like that. So,
Yeah.
when you're coding, we have to use the best practices that null pointers are not dereferenced and things like that.
Yeah. I will note down, Ravi.
I'm just kind of thinking loudly as to what are the things that can cause us to fail. And I'm trying to say we need to look at this upfront so this one does not become a problem down the road. And we can use our, electric wire and that kind of tools, which will kind of tell us that where our code is not doing something properly. All right, so that's all I have today. Do you guys have any question? You want to bring up something else?
Uh, okay, Ravi. So in summary, so next week we'll be looking at maybe the testing environment. That's the first thing. The second one is the consider the CPU and memory usage by figure a way maybe to monitor it in the prototype application.
Can I
And
can I can I start going from the list that I created? So at this point, the GSDL is done, right?
yeah,
And if we
yeah.
need to create a GSDL for a slightly different device, you guys know what to do, right?
Yes,
Then Pramoda has given us a code and architecture design saying, hey, if you create your application like this, it will be best. And I think the good thing I noticed was that when you put up the diagram, Pramoda said, yeah, that's a good thing. So I'm assuming that your diagram and effort is going in the right direction. Take a look at what Pramoda has done, and if there is anything that can help us. Uh, so that was one thing. Number two, you are saying NIP interface for LDP needed, and I'm saying, I mean, if you need, I can walk you over LLDP myself, and if the need is, I can pull in Chirag Idnani. Chirag is the one who's implementing LLDP for AOS 10, and we can get that information from him. Then the third thing is looking at the Profinet architecture, right? So that will tell you that the application architecture that Promoda is putting or you might have, what will be the needs from that architecture uh, to get the information from AOS, right? So that will identify which AOS subsystems, what information needs to be queried, and we can start getting in touch with the corresponding developers. Okay. Then Rupa brought up section 7 of the guide from Profinet, and it's talking about SNMP interfaces and the MIBs for Profinet. Okay. Then we are jumping over to the memory, CPU, and the timing, uh, you know, logging, or we can, capture some of these things. So that completes the list I have.
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
And of course, yeah, you remember that we need to identify a system for testing. My assumption right now is it will cost us money, and basically it's a board. It's a 3 feet by 5 feet at best, but maybe a little smaller in size, and it has all of the Profinet devices on it. So we connect our switch on it, and then we do something to connect the devices on the board to our switch, and then we move. So we need to start looking at that, because I would like to purchase that within the next 2 months and have a lab ready for us.
Yeah. Okay. I'm right now.
All right, team. Uh, Finally, things are moving. So I'm hoping we can have that soon. Thank you all. Thank you for joining the call. Have a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
Bye all.
Thank
Everyone.
you.
We can
Bye,
also.
Lane.
Yeah.
Bye, Vido.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.